Hey, David, why are you here today on the bridge in Waterford?
A few different reasons. I think the government is lying. I think they're taking advantage of this idea of the common good and basically using it as an excuse to curtail people's liberties.
Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, that's good. Just have a look at their signs again. Yep. 24/7 cardiac care now. Larry, why are you here today?
We have an exhibition, so 6 I think, not more, that we are very upset about. We feel a grave sense of danger at the world is situation. In Ireland, we're only at the beginning of these measures which have been taken at the behest of the World Health, the World in the person of Klaus Schwab, who seems to have an enormous influence over governments all over the world. Take for instance at the minute in the Netherlands, the government, who is totally infiltrated, has taken it on themselves to reduce beef production in Holland by 30%, and not only that, but to confiscate the land of the farmers into the private hands of the people who back the World Economic Forum, the bankers, whatever. Because every country is in debt, and this is how they propose that countries pay off their national debt with land and property. And we can reduce the population, kill people basically. That will reduce their pension entitlements of the people, and the health service, everything won't have to be the education system, all the services can be reduced because there are less people. They're bringing in people from all over the world actually to build it. Strange situation when they're reducing the population of Irish, they're forcing them out, but all the times are still pretty bad. And what they're trying to do, I just don't get. I don't know why they're bringing in. How many people are they bringing in? 4 million, 2 million, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
So, that's madness.
Yeah. Thanks, Larry. Thank you. Nicholas, see your sign here. Why are thousands globally, doctors, scientists and pathologists being censored? Whoops, flag. We're on a windy bridge here. So could you elaborate on that placard, the statement on the placard, Nicholas?
Well, at the beginning of this 2.5 years ago, there was doctors. Shall I mention a name? Can I mention a particular scientist now, okay? Dolores Cahill, for instance, coming out with taking vitamin D.
Professor Dolores Cahill, yeah.
Professor, yeah, coming out taking vitamin C, D and zinc, and the government was supporting her, or the fact that she was,
and a professor of immunology, and
yeah,
she lost her job in UCD, or a role in UCD, I believe.
That's what she said, but basically she probably couldn't stick it. She turned her back on the system, and her conscience wouldn't allow her. So, yeah, question what's the whole thing about? We do know what's about it.
And this has also happened to, like, Dr. Vincent Carroll, for example, who's here today. He broadcasts his videos on BitChute because YouTube have censored him. So it's not just happening, it's happening to loads of doctors and scientists who are speaking out against the mainstream narrative.
Yeah. Morrissey, what's his first name?
Dr. Pat Morrissey from Limerick. Yeah, he's another eminent doctor who's been treated harshly by the medical council. Yeah, and the HSE. Right.
Yeah, you go on anyway, but I suppose is it about money?
Yeah.
Question.
Big pharma equals big money.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Nicholas. So, what happened to fair debate? So.
What happened to fair debate? I work as a patient representative and I schedule people. I schedule appointments for neurology department, not in Waterford, because I work in call center. And I talk to many people who are vaccine injured, and those people are not allowed to speak up. They want to speak up, but they are not allowed. So what happened to the fair debate? We know many of them are very badly injured. They have neurological damage, they have seizures, they have strokes. They are not able to move their legs. So my main concern is why we are not allowing those people to speak up. Because obviously they need their compensation, they need to return to normal life. And media is covering up all of this. They don't want to speak up about those people who were badly injured. So that's why I chose this sign, because I believe we are not fairly treated. Especially those who has not been recognized as a vaccine injured. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm really privileged to be here with you.
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, Fiona, so why are you here today on the bridge in Waterford with these signs? Yeah, come closer.
Okay. So, the Hold the Line in Waterford today, a horrible, wet, miserable day, sunny southeast, and but great reception from people. So there's loads of people beeping, loads of people saying fair dues to you, loads of people taking our flyers. So it's a good reaction, even though the weather didn't suit us. And the one I have here is just one that this group, which has been led by John. And this was one of the ones he wanted done up. So RT, HSE and Waterford Local Radio are lying and covering up the truth. And it's getting a very good reaction and people saying absolutely. And we also have two boards for saying Sinn Féin, fake opposition, and another one about Sinn Féin. And that's really good as well, because people see that we're anti-government and then they think that we're somehow pro-Sinn Féin. Actually, a neighbour of mine said it. So we really want to make that clear that Sinn Féin are definitely not in opposition. There's no opposition. And we're just doing the same things that we do in all the Hold the Lines. We're making people aware of the 39th Amendment to the Housing Constitution and the fact that your right to your private property is being delimited under the common good. The really startling and scary scenario that this gobshite here, who's on a list of the world's terrorists for his own country, I can't remember, something Liberation Front he's on, and he's going to get complete control over our health sovereignty. I mean, it's just ridiculous, like. So we're making people aware of that, making aware of very relevant at the moment, the digital ID and digital currency and the cashless society, which we know our AIB has backed down on, which I think is a victory for all of us who come out and hold the board and have been doing so for a long time now. And everybody who comes out is a victory for us, because these are the boards that we're showing and all over the country. And we're handing out so many flyers, thousands of them now. So it really makes a big difference. And you can see it, AIB back down. So they were just afraid that there'd be everybody would be just withdrawing their savings from them. And then the other thing is neutrality, and really relevant also the free speech, hate speech, which we're bringing in next month, a few weeks away. And who defiant is what hate is. So thanks, Roger. Thank you. So welcome Dr. Vincent Carroll here to Hold the Line Waterford. thank you for being here with Vincent.
It's my absolute pleasure being here. I mean, all over Ireland people are holding the line, and it's one of the most useful things a person can do at this moment in our country's history, because we're in the middle of great change and we're in the middle of great betrayal as well. So therefore it's very important that people stand up and recognise where the dangers lie and stand up and confront those dangers. And the dangers are coming from within our country and from without our country. From within our country through weak people and weakness and a desire to please others. And outside of our country from those who would manipulate us, people who are globalists, who have a globalist agenda. For example, some of our posters and boards here this evening, this afternoon, are about the WHO pandemic treaty. I mean, the WHO pandemic treaty is a globalist treaty that will take sovereignty and health matters out of our nation. I have a poster here about free speech and the need to abolish so-called hate speech. Debate is very important. If you close down debate, you can't have discussion and you can't see all sides of issues, including the pandemic treaty, including many other treaties as well that we've walked ourselves into, signed ourselves into, and are now find ourselves bound within and difficult to get out. The Paris Accords, for example, on climate change is another example. And the examples go on and on. So I'm here today to meet people who will stand up for our nation, stand up for our values, stand up for our traditions, stand up for who we are, what we are, and where we're going, and standing above all on our own 2 feet. And that's the message here today that I want to give. I want to support people who have a belief in this nation that we can go it alone, do it ourselves, and proudly bring this generation forward into another and hand over safely to another generation. Thank you.
Hi Padraig, why are you here today?
Well, there's an irony involved that my name is Pádraig, which is Irish for Patrick, Fiona, and I was up in the Criminal Court of Justice in Dublin last month, and I was being charged with being at a St. Patrick's Day procession last year, being outside of my 5k, and the thing is, like, asymptomatic spread is a myth that has been generated by the globalist elites, basically, around the world. This myth that people who are perfectly healthy, have no symptoms of anything, are passing on this dangerous virus. And of course, the last 2.5 years have shown us that that is not the case. That the virus, which is and yet to isolate and purify, is not dangerous. And it also begs the question, how can they make a vaccine for a virus that they can't identify? So getting back to what happened to me, I went up last month to the CCJ. This was over a year after my day out in Dublin, so I had another day out for that. And the prosecuting Garda, who would be based in Dublin, didn't show up for my trial. So the case is now adjourned until October the 5th. So I'm getting yet another day out for having the initial day out. And of course I have to pay for travel costs and lots of earnings, and of course, you know, money for food, for lunch and so forth. And so I feel that they're making a big deal out of retrospective things that they think other people should be wise to earlier on, but people like us were wise to this agenda a long while ago, but for having an opinion, we're now having to end up in court. Like, I campaigned for Murder and Fathers Matter in 2015 for no vote. I campaigned for no vote in 2018, and I didn't end up in court on either of those occasions for expressing my views and trying to encourage others to think likewise. Never forcing your views on anyone. But nevertheless, this is where we are, and so I think common sense will prevail in the end, because the judiciary is a bit embarrassed about having to deal with these cases. And also on the side it says your government is lying to you. Well, we know now that is the case. It's been the control agenda for the last 2.5 years, and they've had people under mass house arrest basically, and if it goes on much longer, people are starting to wake up this day. We're getting plenty of beeps today, and I don't think people are going to take much more of it. And also there's all the that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bedrock of science is debate.
Yeah.
Hi Patty. What are you
Hi
here?
Fiona.
Welcome
Good to meet you. And,
Good to meet you.
yeah, it's great to be here because people need to waken up to the absolute totalitarian aggression that's going on in our world. This is communism on steroids. Up to now, in previous centuries, it was one country at a time or one continent. Like they destroyed Europe with the Second World War, First World War, Second World War, but also the French Revolution. Now this is where they're trying to impose communism on the whole world, and the UN Agenda 2030 and the Great Reset are all about getting rid of 95% of the world's population. And unless we wake up, but the only way we're going to win this war is through the power of God. So we need to, it's a godlessness that they're pushing, and we need to get on board with God, and God will defeat this vicious evil which is trying to suffocate all of humanity.
So COVID-19, the greatest hoax in history.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi John. Why are you here today with the Hold the Line?
I'm here today to stand with the people who see through all this terrible scam, you know. Yeah, COVID-19, you know, the patent was taken out in 2015, so how in 2015 they knew there was going to be what the thing is COVID-19, which was supposed to be only done in December 2019, was to be designated in that name. And we had our Minister for Health, Simon Harris at the time, who said we had got over 18 other COVIDs, not realising COVID-19 referred to the year, not the number. So this is our Minister for Health, who later became Minister for Higher Education. You know, they're laughing at us, a college dropout as Minister for Education. That's some laugh, you know. Anyhow, we're here to expose what's going on. You know, people have been shouting, a couple of people are shouting in the cars like, oh, yeah, it's not a hoax, and oh, so I know so-and-so has died of COVID-19. Well, all you have to do is check the government statistics, the CSO, Central Statistics Office. They show there were no excess deaths in 2020, and excess death is the definition of a pandemic. You can declare a pandemic, governments can declare pandemics, WHO can declare pandemics, but they can also say the moon is made of green cheese. So if you compare previous pandemics, well, the two that come to mind are the bubonic plague in 1351, when 300,000 people said to have died, and that was a third of the population. You had the famine was another pandemic, and then you had the Asian flu, 2018, when 25,000 people died. We had the TB scourge for many years up to 1960s, when a number of the population died of that terrible thing. But but I mean, there was no pandemic. It never existed. I mean, in Alberta there was a court case where the police brought protesters against the COVID-19 restrictions, and the judge asked the government to produce the evidence for these restrictions, and the government's reply was, it doesn't matter, we don't have it, you know. So the majority went to the Department of Health and asked them for their evidence for the COVID-19, and the visitors were that didn't have it. And the same with the British Health Office, same with the in the United States and America with the CDC and so on. They couldn't produce the evidence to show. So the symptoms are the same as the ordinary flu. So we showed that there was a number of people who died of flu ailments. Was in a tiny, suddenly the flu disappeared, because of course the COVID-19 was the rebranded flu. So the people need to rise up and tell their governments that they will not go along with this anymore. The boy has cried wolf too often. We need to get back to normal, and we need to have a government that has of integrity that will tell us the truth. So that's it.
Thank you.
So hello, Oliver. Why are you here today? Okay, I just read your side and I'll come closer. So, stand for peace, defend Irish neutrality. So, Oliver, why are you here today holding these signs with other people on the bridge?
Well, basically to demonstrate that at this stage of my life, for the last 2 years, having been summoned by the Gardaí and having been in the courts and challenging the Constitution, our Constitution is very strong. And it is one of the Constitution is definitely, to the rest of the world, a gold nugget. But unfortunately, the people here, the idiots here, don't see it as that. Clowns. And in my experience of the last 2 years, having to fight, literally go out there every day and try and make sense of the senseless carry on that has happened with our government. So, but we did it in a peaceful way. So that's what we stand for as Irish people, because it's in our faith, our Catholic faith, to be peaceful. So I thank God we're here today, and all the people that are giving us the blow here. So things are happening, and we stay peaceful and we stay alert. Keep holding the line.
Thanks.